Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. I welcome you to English grade 8 video lessons. I'm your instructor Zahmid. I hope that you're doing well and all ready and set to learn something new today. My dear learners, for grade 8 we are dealing with unit number 3, Paradise or Paradise Lost. It's a poem that I hope that you have read it. Now, this is our lecture number 4A with the competency of reading and critical thinking. Now, our students' learning outcome for this video lesson is ask a variety of questions at different levels. For example, clarifying open-ended questions about the text, read or viewed, respond to a text with examples. For understanding it, let's break it down. We will be reading any text and ask questions to clarify our comprehension and our understanding. We will be asking different types, different levels of questions like clarifying, open-ended questions about the text, and how do we respond to a text by using all these. Now here is a vertical linkage of our SLO with the previous grade that you have already covered in the previous grade. Now, for the brainstorming session for today, we have a question that how do you find the answer of a text? When you're reading a text, if questions are put forward, how do you respond to them effectively? Now, I hope that you have done this activity and shared it with your class as well. Let's talk about our main topic, which is about comprehension strategies, which is under responding to a text that we read. Now, responding to text. Whenever we are reading a text, in order to be a good, have a good understanding and good comprehension, we respond to text to get most out of it. And responding to text may include reasons, simple judgment, personal interpretation, and application in new situations. So using all these three techniques, we will be responding to any text. Now, let's look at them. But first, let's try to understand what is comprehension in reading and listening, reading and critical thinking. So, comprehension refers to our ability to understand something. So, the ability to understand something is our comprehension. We often practice our comprehension skills through reading. Now, let's talk about responding to text. We talked about three things over here. Number one is reasons. How do we respond to text with reasons? To respond to a text with reasons, first understand and summarize the text. Then form an opinion or interpretation of your own after you have read the text. It could be any text, fiction or non-fiction. So support your response with specific evidence from the text and explain how this evidence backs up your point. So when we are reading something, the best way is to mark and underline the evidences provided for any argument. And structure your response with a clear introduction, body, paragraphs for each reason, and a concluding summary. So, first, we read something, we read a text, and then we try to understand it. First, understand it through summarizing it, and then based form our own opinions and our own interpretation about the text. And then later on, you will be looking for evidences to quote in your answer when you're responding to any text. So this is all about responding to a text using reasons. Let's talk about the second one, which is simple judgment. To respond to a text, with simple judgment, follow these steps. Judgment is when you're judging and analyzing any text and judge it based on your own information and your logic. To summarize the text, in this one, we will be briefly restating the main idea or key points of the text. Then state your judgment. Clearly express your opinion or evaluation of the text that you have read. So, your judgment includes your opinions or your evaluation. Now, provide basic reasoning. Offer straightforward reasons or examples from the text to support your judgment. So, if you are holding a view about something, in order to respond with that, you need to have some um, evidence and some quotes from the original text so that you can justify your response and your judgment. So this is responding to a text using simple judgment. And you need to know that we will be following all these steps in order to give our simple judgment about any kind of text. Let's talk about an example. So text excerpt: the new park in the city has been widely appreciated for its modern design and green spaces. So this is the text that we read together, and in order to respond to it, first you need to summarize. The text discusses the appreciation for the new city park's modern design and green spaces. And how do I make a judgment out of it? According to me, I think the new park is a great addition to the city. This is my opinion, my evaluation, and interpretation of the text that we read together. So, this is how you make a simple judgment. You read it, you summarize, and then give your verdict, your opinion, and your evaluation. Now, let's talk about the third thing, which is personal interpretation and application in new situation. So responding to a text with personal interpretation and applying it to a new situation involves analyzing the text, relating it to your own experiences or perspectives, and then extending its ideas to a different context. When you're reading something, now, if you are relating with the text, you can come up with your anecdotes, your personal interpretation, your story, and your incident that happened with you in according to the theme or the topic of the text. And with that, we can say that you responded to the text with your personal interpretation and also how this idea, how the content of the text is actually, we can apply it on any other situation. So this is very important. You read the idea, you take it and you extend it to apply it into a general or other situation. Now, let's talk about some techniques or steps in responding to a text. So, for personal interpretation and application, first thing is you need to understand and summarize the text. Yes, summary, we will be doing it first. Briefly restate the main idea or key points of the text to show comprehension. As we talked about it, when you are reading something, the first thing after you do is summarize the written text. Then, for personal interpretation, explain what the text means to you personally. On personal level, how is it resonating with you as a person who's having own experiences and individual personality? Share your thoughts, feelings, or insights about the content that you have just read. Make connections and relate the text to your own experiences, beliefs, or values. We all have different opinions, upbringings, lifestyle, and culture. So we need to connect it with our own life. Application to a new situation. How do we do it? We identify a new situation, think of a different context or scenario where the ideas from the text can be applied. If the text is uh, a varied text and a very general idea is given, which can be applied into different situations and scenarios, you will do it and explain the application. Describe how the text ideas or themes would be relevant or useful in the new situation. The ideas, the thoughts that are presented in the text, when you are interpreting it and applying it in other situations, you need to see if the idea is actually workable, is it actually feasible. So, all these things are very important. These techniques are important in personal interpretation of a text, responding to a text with personal interpretation, and also applying it in new situation. So if you do this kind of interpretation, this kind of response to a text, you can remember most of it and you can get most benefit out of it as a reader who's having a good comprehension skills. Now let's talk about clarifying questions. Clarifying questions that we use to clarify any doubts or ambiguities. They are inquiries made to ensure understanding, gain more information, or remove ambiguity, problem, or fallacy from a statement or situation. These questions help the person asking to better grasp the content, context, or intent behind what is being communicated. When you are asking a lot of questions, you can clarify so many doubts and so many different problems while reading and when you're facing it in your comprehension. So you will be inquiring using clarifying questions. You will ensure understanding. You can gain more information by using your clarifying questions or remove any kind of ambiguity, problem, or doubt. So, all these questions help the person asking to better grasp the concept. Now, let's talk about it. Should I take it with food or an empty stomach? Now, if you are given a prescription or if you've read something written about any health issue and you're having medication, you ask such questions to clarify further understanding. For example, another question is what times of day are best to take it? And are there any side effects I should be aware of? So all these are clarifying questions. They are giving you more information, clearing out doubts and ambiguities, and they are making your understanding better. So, clarifying questions can also help us build our comprehension ability. Let's talk about another kind of questions. They are open ended questions. So, open ended questions are questions that cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. The answer has to be other than yes or no. Instead, they require a more detailed response, encouraging the person being asked to provide more information, elaborate on their thoughts, and express their opinions or feelings. So, open ended questions is a very good technique so that you can learn more about the topic, more about what you are studying. For example, what do you think is the main theme of the story and why? This is an open ended question. It requires a longer answer instead of yes or no. And how did you spend your weekend? It requires a detailed answer. What did you think about the protagonist's decision at the end of the story? So, when you're reading a story, let's say, so in order to clarify everything and clear your doubt and get most more information from the text in order to build up your comprehension and understanding skills. You ask open-ended questions like these to get most out of the text. Now, here we are going to read our poem. So first, let's read the pre-reading. How do you handle difficult situations? And whom do you ask for help when you need it and why? Now, here they are open-ended questions before even we are reading the poem. So let's talk about our poem. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you are trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure comes about when he might have won and he stuck it out. Don't give up through the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. This was our poem, Don't Quit, that we have read together. Now you have to answer this while reading question that how does the first stanza make the poem's meaning deeper? How does it help you to understand the message of the poem? Again, these are open-ended questions while you are reading it to, uplift your comprehension skills. Now, the remaining stanzas are success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and you never can tell just how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you are hardest hit. It's when things seem worst that you must not quit. For all the sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these. It might have been. So this poem is by John Greenleaf Whistler. The title is Don't Quit. Don't Quit. We have read it together. Do you understand it? And how can you respond to the text by using reason, simple judgment, and your personal interpretation and application in new situations? So we will be seeing all these three things together. And here's the glossary. So now the simulation video is for your better understanding. You can watch it later and understand more about comprehension skills and responding to any text. This is your classroom activity from page 23. You have to solve the reading and critical thinking questions after we have read the poem. Read out the text and answer the following questions. What is the central theme of the poem? Number 2 is how many figures of speech are used in this poem? What does the poet want to express in the first stanza? And finally, identify any descriptive imagery in writing or visual. How does it affect the way you understand the poem? All these are open-ended questions, and now you will be responding to the text by answering these questions that are asked. Here is your worksheet attached, and for your homework, you have to solve the remaining questions and followed by an analytical question at the end. Now, my dear learners, we are here with at the end of our lesson with some resources introduced to you. They can be accessed easily from the description of the video. All these resources are available. So thank you for listening. I hope that now you are very much clear about asking different levels of questions like open-ended, clarifying questions to respond to any text. And we saw techniques like uh, personal interpretation and other two techniques. And also we learned them. We learned the lesson together and answered and respond to the text correctly. So by solving the classroom activity and the homework, you can get the most out of the lesson and you can uplift your comprehension skills. And now you can respond to any kind of text correctly. Till the next video lesson, this is your instructor Zahmid saying goodbye. Allah Hafiz.